Welcome. I am the Kaiju no Kami, and tonight we will be reviewing Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. After the success of Mothra vs. Godzilla, Toho decided to rush another Godzilla movie into production. This time they brought Rodan back, but instead of having the three monsters of the past battle it out, they introduced fans to a new monster who would ultimately become Godzilla's main adversary, King Ghidorah. During the 1960s, the spy genre hit its peak in popularity thanks to movies like James Bond and TV shows such as The Avengers. No, not those Avengers, these Avengers, and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. As such, it was to be expected that Toho would want to take a crack at it. And what better way to do so than in a Godzilla movie? The movie begins by introducing us to Naoko, played by Yuriko Hoshi, who is a news reporter that is working on a story with some scientists about there being alien life in the universe when a large amount of stars start shooting across the Earth. We are then introduced to Naoko's brother, a detective by the name of Shindo, and he is tasked with protecting the princess of a foreign nation known as Seljina. Shindo is played by Yosuke Natsuki, while Akiko Wakabayashi portrays the Princess Selno. Selno's father was recently murdered and it is believed she is next. While on her plane to Japan, a strange light shines into Selno's eyes and tells her to leave the plane immediately, which she does just mere moments before it explodes. Hiroshi Koizumi returns as Professor Mira, and he is with a bunch of colleagues who are investigating a meteorite that had hit Mount Kirobe the night before. While searching for it, they find their compasses to be out of control, and upon discovering the meteorite, they come to learn that it is highly magnetic. Later on, Shindo is informed that Selno's plane had exploded, so he is no longer needed on the case. He is saddened that such a young woman's life ended in tragedy. At the same time, Naoko is sent to interview a woman who is claiming to be from Venus and can read the future. She warns them that bad things are going to occur, but everyone laughs her off with sexist comments such as them wanting her to take her clothes off. That night, Shindo and Naoko are home, and after a brief sibling rivalry, they watch a TV program that features the twin fairies from Infant Island. Why? Are they trying to build diplomatic relations with Japan? I just don't see why they would appear on some children's TV show. The fairies reveal that one of the Mothra larvae died from its wounds against Godzilla, and they proceed to sing a song in order for the children on the show to see her. Shindo shakes his head and begins to read the newspaper when he notices that the woman in the news claiming to be from Venus is actually Princess Selno. Those who tried to kill Selno also comes to realize this plight, and they are sent to Japan to finish the job. The next day, Selno appears at Mount Aso and predicts that Rodan will emerge, but no one believes her. Before I continue, I want to give a shout out to an actor who comes back for my role, Sankichi Omura. As you are aware that in the Godzilla series, a lot of actors return to play minor roles, whether it is a military commander, a village chief, newspaper chief, or whatever. This man has been hilarious in the roles he plays. As you can see here, he's in King Kong vs. Godzilla as a translator, Mothra vs. Godzilla as a villager, and then he's in this movie as the man trying to retrieve the hat. His facial expressions are just hilarious, and I do enjoy seeing him on screen at all times. Suddenly, Rodan wakes up and flies off. What? Salno once again appears, this time warning those on a ship that is going to drop the fairies off at Infant Island that the ship is doomed if it sets sail. This causes the twins to rethink their plans, and they sneak into a hotel room that Naoko has taken Salno to. Unfortunately, this hotel also happens to be the same one that the Saljina assassins are staying at. Godzilla surfaces from the sea and destroys the ship Salno predicted would be destroyed. Shindo meets up with Naoko in the hotel, and the assassins take advantage of Salno being on her own and interrogate her. Thankfully, Shindo and Naoko return to the room just in time to rescue her, and the assassins flee. Shindo grabs Salno and says they are taking her to Tsukamoto Labs for treatment as both Godzilla and Rodan reach the harbor. The Godzilla suit is pretty much the same suit as we had in the last movie, but it has been altered a bit. The eyes do not look as mean as they did before, and his mouth appears to be a lot more rounded. It is still a great design, but I do think his face no longer carries that evil incarnate look he had going for him previously. The next morning, Shindo and gang arrive at Tsukamoto, and it turns out that there is nothing wrong with Salno. Oh, and if you did not realize it, Tsukamoto is played by Godzilla's Takashi Shimura. It's come! Pay again. Salno announces that the world will be destroyed by a space monster known as King Ghidorah. We are then taken to the meteorite Mira is studying, and it hatches, giving birth to said King Ghidorah. Everyone flees in terror from Ghidorah while Godzilla and Rodan continue to battle each other. Hey! You got me in the eyes there. Mothra is summoned to Japan, and her plan is to get Godzilla and Rodan to help fight Ghidorah. The Saljina assassins arrive at Tsukamoto's lab, and another attempt is made to kill Salno using shock therapy, which unfortunately ends in an epic failure as Rodan drops Godzilla into the power lines. A brief shootout occurs between Shindo and the assassins, who flee once more. We get to watch more of the battle between Godzilla and Rodan, and Rodan's neck seems to have the King Kong arm disease. Just look at it. I thought he was a pteranodon, not a giraffe. Mothra arrives on the scene just in time to watch the two monsters play volleyball. In order to get their attention, she sprays them with her silk.
That hurts. No wonder no one came to my birthday party.
And then attempts to talk to both monsters into teaming up against Ghidorah. They are quite reluctant to help her, as Godzilla apparently refuses to help humans because they always bully him, and both proceed to pout.
I don't wanna.
What are they, 5? After a lengthy discussion, Mothra gives up and goes off to battle Ghidorah herself, and it is her bravery that helps motivate Godzilla and Rodan to put aside their childish differences and save the Earth.
I threw a rock at him. It was a big rock.
Salno disappears, and as everyone separates to find her, the last living assassin shoots at her. She hits her head, which manages to jingle who she is back to reality as Shindo attempts to rescue her. When all seems like it is about to end, the assassin meets a rocky demise. The four-way monster battle continues, and man, you can really see the wires here. Did they even try to hide them? Just look at this. They are there in nearly every shot as if the production crew did not even care. Was Tsuburaya off the day they filmed this scene? It doesn't even look like they are trying. Wow. Just wow. Anyway, Ghidorah is defeated and flies off into the sky, probably to return home. Salno thanks Shindo for rescuing her and leaves Japan to return home. The movie ends as Mothra bids farewell to Godzilla and Rodan as they watch her swim away.
Sayonara! Sayonara!
And that is Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. One of the things I love about this movie is that it is a spy-themed movie built in the kaiju genre. The story is really intriguing and has a few great moments of suspense, especially in the hotel when the assassins are interrogating Sauno, and then at the end when Malmise is shooting at Shindo and Sauno. Unfortunately, we only come to learn Malmise by his name at the end of the movie, which is a shame because Hisaya Ito did a good job of portraying him. Unfortunately, he has very little development, which is a shame because this movie could have used a really deep antagonist to go with the genre they were portraying here. Shindo is a really good guy, and Natsuki does an excellent job in making him more of a realistic cop than a superhero. Well, at least until he is shot in the arm in the end, because he really doesn't act like it was anything more than a pinch. The plot surrounding Sauno is done well and brings something new and unique to the Godzilla franchise at this point in time. Wakabayashi does a pretty good job as Sauno, as she really does look dazed like her character is supposed to be. I also want to give the writers credit from Naoko, as she is an improvement over Junko from the last movie, as she feels like she is a necessary character. Unfortunately, Professor Mira was useless, and I'm not even sure what his purpose was here. Yes, he was investigating Ghidorah's egg, but did we really need him here? Another weird thing is he supposed to be camping at the meteor site or not? It seems like he is supposed to be, but then he is in a scene with Naoko when Shindo is coming home and a day or two later at the restaurant. But then at other times he is sleeping in that location. This just makes little sense to me from a narrative standpoint. Unfortunately, the effects are not exactly the greatest here. As I had said, the movie was rushed into production due to the huge success of Mothra vs. Godzilla, and it shows. The big battle at the end must have been done when Tsuburaya was not around because it is just done so lazily. There is no reason that many wires should be that visible at all times throughout the entire fight. On the other hand, the design for Ghidorah is quite impressive. The three heads are really done well, and I love the overall look of him. It is interesting to have a monster with huge giant wings in place of arms. He does look terrifying and original. What is also impressive about him is the theme Akira Ifukube introduced here. It is nothing short of breathtaking. The Godzilla suit only has some alterations to the head from the last movie. I am not completely on board with them, but they are effective in conveying the manner necessary for this movie's plot. Mothra is the same larvae as before too, so there's nothing to really talk about. Rodan, on the other hand, is a mess. His neck is really long and his body just looks way too bulky. Compared to the suit from the original movie, this was a huge letdown. Overall, despite its negatives, the movie is really good. It is one of my favorites of the Showa era and one of the best in the Showa era. Ghidorah is a fantastic monster, and even though the characters may lack a little bit of development, they are still really enjoyable to watch on screen.
Anyone in there?
Uh-oh. Well, that is all the time I have for. Stay tuned for my next episode, Invasion of Astro Monster.
Open up.
Bye.